Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another presentation as a part of the Berkshire High Peaks Music Festival. This festival is brought to you by Close Encounters with Music. All of our sessions for the festival are being recorded and will be live streamed on YouTube as well. This includes all of our master classes and lectures that are being presented online for our festival. Please consider supporting Close Encounters with Music and our ongoing festival. Our mission is to engage the imagination of diverse concert audiences in a welcoming setting, to connect listeners to performers and composers, and foster the excitement and sense of community that you get through live performance. We also aim to establish a comfortable listening environment and to turn performances into enriching and educational experiences. I will be including the donation link in the chat window below. You all are more than welcome to use the chat window to talk amongst yourselves during today's presentation, and you can also use the Q&A window at the bottom of your screen. You can use that to submit questions, and they will all be addressed at the end of this webinar. So, unlike other presentations, there's no one else here in the Zoom room. You've noticed. That's because your presentation today is by yours truly. I am so honored and wanted to take the time right away to thank the High Peaks Music Festival for inviting me to give this presentation. It is an honor to be in this lineup of workshops. So thank you all so much for having me, and I'm so excited to share with you all my experiences for this workshop using social media as your stage. So before we get into some of the materials I have to show you today, I want to tell you a bit about myself and how I got started into social media. I think everyone's story is very unique and different, but there are a lot of things we can learn from people's stories on how they got into social media. So to tell you a bit about myself, my name is Carolyn Regula, and I go by TheCelloDoll online. And I graduated recently from the Mannes School of Music with a performance diploma under the studies of Yehuda Hanani. So I have a performance diploma in cello performance, a master's in performance, and a bachelor's in cello performance and composition. So when I was an undergrad, I was really trying to figure out where my root passion was in classical music. I knew I loved playing the cello, and I wanted to figure out from there what I loved to do the most. And I discovered this intent for chamber music. I absolutely loved the idea of being on stage with friends and colleagues and communicating through music together. And I had some opportunities to play with classmates, but I couldn't quite find the right pairing or the right group of people who wanted to do it professionally. And I think a lot of it just had to do with timing and luck. You know, in my immediate peers, I really had a hard time finding people who were crazy about chamber music like I was. And I started to get a little discouraged about that. And I was kind of feeling at a loss because I was thinking about a master's degree at the time. I was just towards the end of my master's degree. And I was still having this love for chamber music. And at the same time, I heard about a lot of major symphonies going bankrupt around that time. And there was this big wake-up call in the classical music industry that this art has to be relatable. We have to reach more people with our art. We have to make it approachable and show people why we love it so much. And all of this was floating around in my head. And then I went to a music festival where one of the guest ensembles was Time for Three. And if you all don't know them, you need to. I'm going to put them in the chat. Time for three. They are a string trio, and they are phenomenal musicians. They all met at a major conservatory, and they are incredibly virtuosic players. My memory's blanking. They either had Curtis or Juilliard, and they got their first gig by improvising on stage during an orchestra concert when the power went out. So they were in their conservatory orchestra, the power went out, and they just decided, we're gonna entertain. And they just went in the middle of the stage and started improvising, and someone wanted to hire them on the spot. And working with this group and seeing how virtuosic they were, and they were blending popular music with classical pieces. And they did these mashups where they wove them together, and they were complementing one another, these pieces. You know, the selections weren't random. And I was just so in awe that they were making these essentially covers and arrangements that were incredibly virtuosic. And I said, this is it. This is what people need. It's a way to translate and bring our music into other contexts. So that really inspired. And I met a pianist who was a good friend and collaborator of theirs. And I was talking to him about my ideas, and he said, I think you just need to go for it. And I was thinking, okay, well, I already love to arrange, I love to compose, and someday when I get that chamber group, I can do all of these cool things with them. And I kept waiting for the chamber group, waiting and waiting. And I was also figuring out my degrees, and nothing was clicking. And I had this big moment one day where I said, Carolyn, who are you waiting for? Why are you waiting for somebody? Talk about a big inner moment. Why are you waiting to start this dream of yours? And I think it took that whole journey for me to get the confidence to say, I want to pursue this and figure it out for myself. And I can always meet musicians and collaborators on the way, which is something we'll get to. I thought to myself, well, what is the best way to reach a huge group of people and a huge audience? The internet and social media. Instantly, what you put out there is accessible to everyone around the world. So I started an Instagram and a YouTube, and I eventually also went on Facebook. And that is when the creative inspiration started coming, and I started figuring out these inspirations I was seeing. How can I make it my own? You don't want to replicate or duplicate what other people do. You can have inspirations, but what is it going to make it my art? So over the past few years, this has really been an inner exploration as well as an exploration of how to showcase yourself and your skill sets online. And I will say next month, TheCelloDoll is going to turn 3 years old. Still a toddler technically, but TheCelloDoll will be turning 3 years old next month, which is really exciting. So this presentation is going to be about a lot of the things I learned starting off, and a lot of ways being on social media has helped my career. And I do say, I did recently graduate, of course. However, I was getting a lot of mileage through social media, and it's really helped me to figure out where I want to take my career next. So I absolutely welcome your questions. A lot of what I have to say is interwoven, and I do elaborate on a lot of things. So I'm going to ask you to save your questions for the end. or you can type them as they come, but I will get to them at the end of this presentation. And I am so excited to share this with you all. So I'm going to pull up a slideshow. And since I am the only one here, I would really appreciate if someone could give me a thumbs up in the chat that you can see the TheCelloDoll time capsule. The TheCelloDoll time capsule. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you all are about to see. This is a video montage of some of my musical projects as TheCelloDoll. And you're going to see dates when these videos came out. Now, I understand with Zoom, depending on your connection and if you're hardwired in or not, the video might not be totally smooth. And that's okay. We're in Zoom, that happens. But if that is your case, I want you to focus on the sound, because the point of this video is not only to show you all some of my portfolio, but to show you how the projects have improved over time. And that is so important, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But in my soon-to-be 3 years of doing this, I have learned so much. I can't believe how much I have learned, that things I never thought I would do. So you are going to see the montage of some music videos, and I hope you all enjoy. And oh, I see some chats. Yes, we can see it. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you. All right, so here we are. I just want to triple check that. All right. Here we go.
All right. So that was kind of a compilation of some of my bigger projects in the past 3 years. Those weren't my only videos, but those were definitely some of the really big ones. And I hope you guys enjoyed that last one. You know, you got to practice with that metronome because you never know. You never know what it's going to do if it feels neglected. No, just kidding. So a couple things. I got much more knowledgeable in how to record my. All of the arrangements you heard were my arrangements of these pieces. So I really have gotten to exercise how to arrange for myself, how to record myself, edit audio, and also the video and the costumes. I also do all of that. So it's really a one-woman show, and it's really come quite a long way. And I have so much more I can't wait to learn. But it really has taught me so many extra skills. And one thing that I'm really excited about is my ability to tell a story through music and film has really progressed to the point where I think the storylines have gotten much clearer as I've gotten more experience with this. So what I'm realizing for me as TheCelloDoll is wanting to tell a musical narrative, to put the music in a context that the audience can understand. I mean, some of our music out there, think about Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique, a music video on that. Oh my goodness. I don't know if the world is ready for a music video of Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique, but something like the Earl King I've wanted to do for years as a music video because there's so much narrative power in our music that everyday audiences don't always know about, just because not everyone goes through the conservatory training, the music history, and all of these things. So that is a big angle that I see TheCelloDoll going towards. So as you can imagine, all of these videos, super fun to share on social media. And that's just that's the tip of the iceberg for this, truly, just a small bit. So in our welcoming screen, you can see quite a few popular icons for modern day social media. We have Twitter, we have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Now, these are just 5. There are so many more out there, but I just wanted to give some of the most popular ones with the bigger audiences. And the ones that I use most frequently as TheCelloDoll are YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So that is where my knowledge, where my experiences will be coming from, are those 3 platforms.
but I really wanted to make this presentation for you all in a general sense of social media. So let's go on. So in this presentation, I want to cover some of the most important questions whenever we learn about something new. The why. So we'll discuss ways artists discover new skills. I already kind of let that out early because that's one of the things that honestly surprised myself so much, was the new skills I have. How social media can boost a career and even how you can make an income doing it. The who. Who is your typical audience for social media platforms? Who are you posting for? And finding collaborations. I finally got my chamber music buddies through social media, so I'm really excited to show you guys some of that later. The what, classical music and how it can be presented as content. Some ideas on how to post easily. Not everything has to be a super big production, so we're gonna go into some easy ways how you can start. You can make content tomorrow. You can make it later today. So we're gonna go into some easy ways on that. And the how. Tips for building a solid foundation. If you guys have not started, or you're like me, how I was, you were kind of hemming and hawing over it, this is how you can build a solid foundation and a compelling brand, right? Because think about your favorite artists, right? They're also a brand in addition to a musician. And throughout this, I'm going to provide some real life examples from my work as TheCelloDoll. And if I forgot anything you want to know about, please save it for the Q&A. I'm not going to get super into the nitty-gritty of social media algorithms because that is another whole talk on itself. That's a whole nother hour. But if you guys are interested in that, ask at the end for sure. All right. So why? The new skills. So some of the ones I talked about in the intro, creating music videos, cinematography, video editing, camera techniques, and storytelling through film. Recording. My at-home setup, especially with the pandemic, has really improved. And I've just done so much more research on how to record myself and to get a good clean sound for editing, mixing and mastering, and my latest DAW. And for those of you who don't know, a DAW is a digital audio workstation. I use Ableton Live, which is something I've discovered recently. And creating remote collaborations. During the pandemic, you saw a lot of remote collaborations. People called it the tile videos, where you would see maybe a 4x4, 4 musicians, maybe a string quartet. Those kinds of collaborations, I was so grateful that I already had been doing things like that for about a year. And I worked with a lot of musicians actually who have never done those before. So I got to share some of my tricks on how to create those kinds of virtual chamber pieces, virtual jam sessions. So I've gotten really good at coaching people on how to do that. And then public speaking, audience engagement, and becoming a social media analytics nerd, very proud analytics nerd. And when you are making videos, a lot of people are interested in, we'll talk about tutorials, and you have to explain the process or explain your instrument. How do I practice? You get really good at being articulate. Ironic that I paused and forgot my word on articulate, but I promise you get much better at public speaking and becoming more articulate. So those are some of the new skills I was very grateful for. And next on our why, boosting your live career. So you might be thinking, TheCelloDoll, oh my gosh, that's so much work. I don't know if I want to be what people call a content creator. I identify as a content creator because of my music videos and tutorials, but you might be thinking, you know, I want to focus on playing live, which I hear you. I love playing live. But if you see yourself as doing maybe 80% live and 20% online, social media can still be a huge help for your career if you are primarily a live performer. So, some of the things that have opened up for me through social media, a big one is interviews. So let's say you get a call from a local newspaper. Let's start small. It's a local newspaper and they saw one of your music videos, they know that you're local and they want to interview you. Well, by taking on that interview, you are expanding your audience. Every single reader of that newspaper is going to be aware of who you are and what you're doing online. So in a way, you are getting exposed to potential fans who might not have met you before. So you're reaching new people by doing the interviews. Your current audience, so the people who are currently following you, they see, wow, TheCelloDoll just got another interview. She's all right. She must be really getting out there. So it has a dual purpose. You're getting new members of your audience, and your current audience is going to see your artistry is interesting to other people. Then you can use social media as ads for your upcoming events. So this is a huge one. When I was in college before TheCelloDoll, I maybe had 1,000 Facebook friends, maybe. So whenever I had a recital, I invited my friends on Facebook. Well, out of that 1,000, probably only 30% of them lived in Boston at the time. That's where I went to school. So about 300 friends, okay. Maybe 100 of them are free the night of my concert. And maybe I would get 20 or 30 people. So we went from 1,000 to 20 or 30. But currently, I have about almost 900 followers on YouTube, almost 18,000 followers on Instagram, and 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. So we went from 1,000 to almost 20,000 people, where if I send out a notice about a concert, potentially 20,000 people are going to see it. So already being online can really help your live career in that way. Then you can find collaborators and virtual networking. You can do chamber music, concert venues, that's a huge one, and other ensembles. If a concert venue or an orchestra finds your social media, I actually got invited to play in a small orchestra just because they found me on Instagram. And it was a local orchestra, and unfortunately, the guidelines for the pandemic were still really high, so I wasn't entirely comfortable, but I just got invited to play with an orchestra in I believe it was a Halloween-themed concert. They were doing an orchestra program, a seasonal program, and they needed more cellos in the section, just from Instagram. And then you can show people, you can entertain and build a following. So if someone comes across your profile and they see, wow, their profile's really active, they must be having something compelling. I want to see them play. I want to go watch their concert. And then again, you can instantly share your art with the entire world. That is so exciting, everybody. So exciting. All right. So here are some of the interview opportunities I've gotten as TheCelloDoll. And it's funny, each year seems to be the year of blank. And for some reason, this year has been the year of interviews. I've gotten a lot of interviews this year, which I'm so grateful for. I got 2 printed interviews that were online publications, one of them being the virtual magazine Artenza. It's an Italian magazine focusing on promoting upcoming artists. So I was very honored to be invited to be on one of their virtual issues of their magazine. I recently did my first radio interview. I've been featured in 3 podcasts, 2 interviews, and one of them was a music recording. This is a really cool project that's coming out. It's basically Peter and the Wolf, but with sci-fi and aliens. So as TheCelloDoll, the cello episode is one of the characters. So I was basically playing for 20 to 25 minutes, and there's going to be a voice actor narrating. So that was a cool crossover where I was on a podcast, but my playing was being featured rather than an interview. I was invited to 2 live Q&A sessions on Instagram Live. That's when you have a live stream on Instagram and you can talk with someone else. And then I also did 1 additional video interview this year. So in 3 years, that's 2, 3, 6, that's 9 interviews already. And I just really hope they keep coming. So big way to advocate for your brand is through interviews. And then concert invites. I know there were a lot of virtual events during the pandemic, but this can also apply to live concerts as well. So people have found me on social media and have invited me to play in concerts. There's a big Instagram platform called 60 Classical. Some of you might follow them on Instagram, and they were doing concerts during the pandemic called home sessions. So I was invited. I was one of the 25 musicians featured in their concerts, and I recorded the entire 3rd Bach cello suite, and it was put on their Instagram, and I think now they have about 20,000 followers. So all those people got to hear my recording of Bach. And then this was a really fun one. I did the Cello Madness Congress. What a name. That is started by a cellist named Joey Chang. That's him here in the bottom right. And Joey Chang is known, he calls himself the beatboxing cellist. And if you guys don't know, Cello Joe is his social media name. He is a fantastic musician. He has so many incredible skills. And then we had another cellist named Lauren, who does a lot of singing, songwriting, and cello playing. And I played some modern contemporary music. So the idea of the Madness Congress was very unique group of players. Then I got to stream my last recital on a platform called 60 Core, which was a ticketed online event, and I got to keep 85% of the ticket sales. So we're not at income yet, but that is one way you could make money is through virtual events with tickets. And then I also got invited to join Sessions Live, which is a streaming platform where you can get virtual tips, which are then converted into dollars for the artist. So some popular streaming platforms you might know about, Twitch. Twitch is a huge streaming platform. Sessions Live is more for music on Twitch. Twitch is used a lot for gamers, some musicians, and that's another way you can stream an online concert from your home and people could give you virtual tips. So it's a lot better than busking in New York, which is something I've tried and I can speak from experience. You get a lot less dirty, a lot less work to stream from your home, and you can get virtual tips. Now, earning income. So this is a huge thing I'm sure a lot of people are interested in, is how can you make money online? So I divided it into 2 categories. We have active income, which does require a lot of work, and it's something you have to actively promote. So that's why I called it that. And then we have passive income, which is you put something out there and you can earn money while you sleep. So that's kind of passive income. You put in the work and then it's out in the universe and you can make money from it. And if you look at the bottom, I took our 5 icons and they're kind of divided under these categories. So something like Twitter and TikTok, that's going to be active. Instagram and Facebook are kind of in the middle, and we'll get to that. And then YouTube is the huge one, where you can make passive income. That's a huge platform. It's one of the biggest ones known. So let's go through these a little more in depth. So the active income, product endorsements, and personalized discount codes, and possible sale commission. So you might see this on, let's say, Instagram. Someone you're following has a deal. Let's say they do at-home recording. They're a musician and they just got sponsored by SE Electronics. I'm just going to use a brand I know. And they say, for the next 3 weeks, if you use my code, whatever their discount code is, you're going to get 30% off SE Electronics. So you really have to encourage your followers to use your code. You might have to make some of your content with the SE Electronics equipment. And that is something you have to promote throughout the campaign. You have to actively advocate for this brand, advocate for your discount code. And another way to kind of get indirect income, you can save money by getting free products. So let's say SE Electronics says, since this is our first campaign together, we're not going to give you commission, but you get a free microphone. That's like a $200 microphone you got for free because you're helping them with this campaign. So it's not cash, but it's a free product and you just saved $200 on a microphone. And then another active income that's your own brand, advertise your services, and a huge one, lessons. If you teach privately, absolutely mention it on your socials. All of my teachers, oh my goodness, I'm graduated, Carolyn. You don't have a teacher right now, it's so sad. My students, all of my students, I found on Instagram. They found me through Instagram. They contacted me through Instagram or YouTube, and they emailed me. So all of my current students found me through social media. And then on these active income platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, these are platforms where you can advertise donations. So Give Butter, Patreon, Bandcamp, these are common fundraising platforms for creatives. So often on my Instagram, I will mention, oh, I'm having this new campaign on my Patreon. Just for my patrons, you get this exclusive perk. So Patreon allows you to give VIP exclusive rewards for people who want to support you and donate. So it's kind of like an exclusive subscription. So you could advertise this on your socials here. So now we're creating a chain where you are rerouting people. That's a huge thing with these active income platforms. You want to reroute people into a discount code, a donation to contact you for a lesson. Then we have the passive income, YouTube ad revenue. This is the big one. This is the big one everyone wants to get, including yours truly. This is a long-term investment. Before, I believe it was around February 2018, you only needed 1,000 subscribers. That was it. But then they added a new rule. You also need 4,000 watch hours in 12 months. So that means within the span of 12 months, you need 4,000 hours of watch time. And I'm very close. Very close. Not quite there yet, but I am super close. And so this is something that is really a long-term investment of your time. It's worth it, but that's something I wish someone warned me about in advance, was unless you have something go viral, meaning you post a video and someone shares it, then 2 people share it, then 5 people share it, and so on and so on. And before you know it, you have about 1 million views in a couple days. That's called going viral. And that's a way some people get lucky and they get monetized early because something they made just clicks. So that's a bit about YouTube. And I mentioned before the live streaming on a platform where viewers can purchase a currency that translates into dollar tips. We talked about this before, Sessions Live, Twitch. You can also stream and put in maybe your Venmo name or your PayPal name. I did that at the start of the pandemic because I gave weekly at-home live streams so people could experience music at home. I think I did 12 streams, 12 weeks on my YouTube channel. And I didn't make enough money for rent, but I made grocery money, I could pay a few bills, and it helped. So you can figure out ways to make money online. And here's a bit about some of the things I have done, music related and non-music related. So this is bringing up another cool point. You can have endorsements related to your art, and then maybe some endorsements that aren't. What else is a part of your image or your artistry or your personality? Let's say you're a pianist who loves football or a sport, baseball, soccer. So you do endorsements for music, but on your socials, if you're also really passionate about sports, maybe a local team wants to give you a discount code for sports tickets. So you endorse a local team, you talk about your childhood memories of going to sports games, and you have a discount code for their next game. So you don't have to be 100% your instrument. You can indulge your followers with personal stories. They want to know who you are, of course. So some of the music related things I've done cello accessories. A huge one was bespoken leatherwood rosin. So I got a free rosin kit, and the retail value of that was about $150. I got 3 cakes of rosin, a carrying kit, like a little bag, a rosin cloth, and that was a huge boost for me. I got some really high quality rosin that I really enjoyed, and then synthetic bow hair, a free bow. So this is a company I work with, Chorus Synthetic Bow Hair, and they've actually made some synthetic material, and they are advertising it as a vegan bow hair. So you guys are actually going to hear that in a second. I've done work with Studio wireless earbuds. So I did a audio tech campaign with Studio, and then some music apps, Primephonic and Tomplay, payment for posts. And this is a common one for those other platforms like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Sometimes you can get paid for a post. And then non-music related, we'll get into branding and your image in a second, but there's this clothing brand I love, Rogan Wolf, and they're a gothic alternative clothing brand. And I get credit for gift cards, and I do have the opportunity to make discount codes when I want. So that kind of plays into more of my image on my social media. And then during the pandemic, I did a campaign with Nice Face where my followers got a discount code. And I really wanted to support this company because all purchases, not just with the discount code, but all of their purchases, a portion of their sales went to essential workers. So I thought that was really generous of them. So here's an example of a post I have made for the Chorus synthetic bow hair. And if you notice, I'm not in this post. I really wanted the focus to be on the product, which was the horsehair. Not horsehair, non-horsehair. The vegan synthetic bow hair. And a cool thing is they come in all sorts of fun colors. So I got the purple one. And let me play a little bit of this for you. And this is just a sample. And I don't have, it's not like my music videos. I'm not in a costume. There's not a huge elaborate set. I'm in a practice room actually in Manus. This is a practice room in Manus. So you can advocate for a brand and make fun content without going super above and beyond. Of course, it has to be a good quality, but it doesn't have to be this massive months-long production. So let's hear a little bit of this. just an example on some real life endorsements, campaigns I've done with other companies. So let's go back to boosting a live career. And here are some people that you know primarily from live performances. And did you know all of these people have social media platforms? Yo-Yo Ma. So the order of this is Instagram, followers, YouTube, and Facebook. So you have someone like Yo-Yo Ma who is a legend in the classical music industry. And he has 407,000 followers on Instagram, 307,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 1.1 million likes on Facebook. So I bet you when he has a live performance coming up, it goes all over his socials, and so many people hear about his upcoming concerts or his upcoming CD or this exciting collaboration he's doing with another musician. So all of these people get his news, new music, new concerts. Gustavo Dudamel, the very well-known conductor. We have Lang Lang, the pianist, Hilary Hahn, violinist, and Itzhak Perlman. All of these people have really exceptional social media followings. So to give you an idea, I bet a lot of our participants know of Two Said Violin. Love Two Said Violin. So I put them in here because they're the inverse. They are primarily online. They are a comedic violin duo group, and they are primarily online. And they do some fun kind of comedy/concert tours where they do a lot of performances that are also sketch comedy. And if you see here, this is the screenshot. I love this. They played Paganini's 24th Caprice while doing the hula hoop. And look who's with them, Hilary Hahn. So Hilary Hahn actually frequently collaborates with Two Said Violin. And this is such a smart, strategic move because Two Said Violin learns about Hilary Hahn. So the Two Said Violin audience, and then Hilary Hahn's audience learns about Two Said Violin. So this is another beautiful way of collaborating online. You get to meet other people's audiences. So of course, other than the fact that all three of them are amazing musicians, they all play violin. So that's a huge common thread between their audiences. I'm sure it goes way beyond that, and they're great friends, and they do some videos where they're just chatting together. So they have a great friendship, but they do have a lot of common threads that could connect their audiences together. So if you see, Two Said Violin is primarily online, and they have over twice the amount of Hilary Hahn's followers. And that's expected because Hilary Hahn has a super active live performance career. So she and her team don't have as much time to focus on the online presence. Whereas Two Said Violin, that's pretty much their full-time job. So you can kind of see the relationship there. And even though, yes, okay, she has less, that's fine. It's still 345,000 followers. That's still huge. So I hope you find this table interesting. I loved looking up these people's socials. All right, so as I was saying about Hilary Hahn and Two Said Violin, this brings us to collaborations. So the online socials, being online, is a collaboration gold mine. So I'm going to share with you some of my favorite collaborations I've done as TheCelloDoll. These are just the tip of the iceberg because a lot of times I get invited to play in someone else's video, so it's not quite my content to share per se. I could ask permission, but I really wanted to show you all projects where I was super embedded in the process of putting these together. So these are just a couple, and the ones featured in here, you're going to see some familiar High Peaks faculty members. We see here Carrie Wilkerson, and then you're going to see Annie Brooks later, one of our pianists. And then I'm going to talk about Cello Coven comes second. What is Cello Coven? You'll find out. And then a fun collaboration I did with 12 cellists, 12 around the world. So let's give some of these a listen.
And a famous strumming, 11 tuners tuning, 10 prepaid lessons, 9 teachers teaching, 8 sharp rhythmic, 7 bowls of blowing,
6 sweets by a hole,
5 golden trees, 4 rolls and cakes, 3 rockstars, 2 concertos, and a famous Stradivari.
All right, so a little bit about those clips really quick. That first one was a virtual, remotely recorded opera scene that I had the immense pleasure of doing, again, with Carrie Wilkerson, Annie Brooks, and that was directed and produced by Crystal Manich. So if you were here at the festival, I believe it was for the January reunion, she gave a talk about opera production because that's one of her main things is she helps to direct and produce operas. So working with them was amazing. And spoiler, if you want to see the rest of that video and what happens, tune in for our Moonlight Sonata concert tomorrow night because it's going to make an appearance there. The second one was Cello Coven. So this is a cello duet I have started with one of my dear friends, and that is just something very beautiful about social media is I have met so many musicians I would have never have met in person potentially. So Cello Bat is her Instagram. Her name is Sarah Chafee, and she is a Las Vegas based cellist, and one of her main gigs out there is she is the cellist in the string quartet for Aerosmith's residency in Las Vegas. So she gets to perform regularly with Aerosmith, and you heard we were playing Dream On, one of their biggest hits. And she became a big pen pal and a dear friend. We actually found out we worked with the same teacher at one point, so we instantly bonded over that, and we just clicked. And she has a darker aesthetic like myself, but she's more of the punk rock, and I'm more of the gothic, and it just works. You know, even when you saw us in that video, we were both dressed in dark colors. We had full faces of makeup, and we really thought about this in presenting this cello quartet, and this was one of her arrangements. She's a very active string arranger. So working with her has been amazing, and we've done a couple covers like that, and we have a couple more planned. So I told her, I said, we need a name, so why don't we call ourselves the Cello Coven? And it just worked. And then that last one was something I wanted to do for Christmas, last Christmas, because it was the Christmas of the pandemic, the holiday season during the big quarantine lockdown. And I wanted to do something really big because I knew that holiday season was going to be a really difficult time for a lot of people who couldn't travel. So I reached out to 11 other cellists, and I made this wacky arrangement of the 12 Days of Christmas. And if you noticed, I wrote each lyric to be a fun cello accessory or something to do with cello playing or music. There was the 6 suites by Johann, the 6 of the Bach cello suites. So that, coordinating 12 recordings, I had one of the cellists, the one who sang 5 golden strings, he helped me with the audio editing. That is that cello guy who some of you might know from socials. All right, so let's talk about the audience. And if any of you guys have questions on how to coordinate a collaboration that big, please put that in the Q&A, because there was a lot of learning curves in that project. I learned a lot. So, audience attention. Now, this is nothing to be said about the people on social media. This is more about how the social media platforms are designed. So keep that in mind. This is more a reflection on the use of the platform based off of how it's designed. We have the scrolling apps and what I've called the sitting apps. So the scrolling apps, think about it, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you're scrolling. You log in, you get what they call a feed, and you're scrolling. So big ones, Twitter and TikTok, and then Instagram and Facebook are also in the middle, because sometimes, especially if you see a content creator you recognize, you might see they post something really cool on Instagram, you click on their username, and you sit on their profile for a while. So same with Facebook, right? You just saw, oh my gosh, one of my best friends just got engaged. You click on their name, you're looking at photos, and you're sitting on their page. So some of these can kind of leak into the second one. But a big sitting app is YouTube. You often, when you go to YouTube, you're going to be watching a music video, a tutorial, a vlog, and you're going to be sitting there for sometimes even up to 30 minutes. Some people have really long videos on there. But when you go to YouTube, you have the expectation in the back of your mind that I'm going to sit on this video for a while. The other ones, these are kind of like the scrolling and searching apps. People tend to spend less than 1 minute on a piece of content. And that's because of the platform on Instagram. You can't post anything longer than a minute unless you go on their sister app, which is called Instagram TV, IGTV. But those videos, for some reason, don't get as much engagement as the ones posted in the regular app. So that's an interesting observation I've learned. Standing out in a feed is a must. So if you go to YouTube, you know what you're looking for. Like, I want to see TheCelloDoll's music video, or I want to see the latest video by Two Said Violin. You have your destination. But in a scrolling app, If someone's scrolling through Instagram, they're going to see all of their followers. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Whoa, what is that person doing? That looks so cool. So you have to stand out. It's more of a challenge. However, it's much easier to get discovered, I find, on these scrolling apps. So some content that's great for scrolling apps, practicing clips, photos, and announcements. Like this talk, I announced this presentation on my Instagram a couple days ago. So I often put announcements on things I'm doing, things that people can watch or listen to. I put those a lot on my scrolling apps. For the sitting apps, your audience is expecting a story, instructions, or thorough information. They're prepared to invest more time. They might have a specific creator in mind, and this is a beautiful, perfect app for recitals and concerts. So what I often do, and this is kind of a tip, let's say my Manus recital, I would post excerpts on my scrolling apps, Instagram and Facebook, and I would say, if you want to see the full piece, go to my YouTube channel, because that's where the whole recital is. So this is kind of a way to put teaser clips. And again, we're talking about rerouting your audience. So I'll put a teaser clip on Instagram and they know they can go to YouTube to watch the full recital. So bigger, longer content, put it on a sitting app like YouTube. Audience strategies. So we kind of brushed on this already, but the scrolling apps redirect to other apps and lead your audience to larger projects. Quick and easy collaborations. Again, a 1-minute video. If you're kind of nervous because maybe you haven't done a virtual grid video before, test the waters on Instagram. It's a 1-minute video. So it's a short collaboration. You could play, I don't know, a couple phrases from one of your favorite pieces and have a friend of yours play the accompaniment. And 1 minute, so it's very low pressured. It can be easy to put together and it would be a good practice exercise. So scrolling apps, advertise yourself. And if people find your Instagram, it's a quick instant portfolio for interested collaborators or scouts. So this is really cool because people can look on your Instagram and instantly, people who want to find collaborators or product endorsers, they don't have a lot of time. So if they go to your Instagram, I can watch 5 different clips of her playing in 5 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. I like her playing. Send her a message like that. So it's a really quick instant portfolio for people to see kind of a smorgasbord of your playing. Sitting apps, full-length versions. We talked about recitals. Tutorial videos, teaching. If you are very passionate about teaching, tutorials. Those get my most views on YouTube. Scale exercises, tips on vibrato. I actually created a vibrato curriculum that I've been posting on my channel this month. Practicing methods. So this is a huge one if you want to expand your teaching studio because someone can find you on YouTube. I really like their videos and their style of teaching. I want to have a lesson with them, and they email you. And then narrative and advice videos. Let's go on. So the what? Classical music as content. So here are some tips if you feel like you don't have a lot of options for content. Content out of music you're already playing. This is huge. So let's say you're practicing a concerto and you're practicing in your practice room. Find a nice neutral wall, stand in front of it, put your phone in front of you, record a run-through. We often practice run-throughs as we get closer to a concert. Record a video. Find about 3 to 5 spots, 60 seconds or less, that you liked, like, oh yeah, I really nailed that run, or that shift, yes, I got it. You have 3 to 5 posts already through one recording of your concerto. So spread out those 3 or 5 posts over a couple weeks. Easy. And this is huge. I noticed a huge change in my recording nerves, and that's something I wasn't even expecting. So when I was doing TheCelloDoll and I was recording a lot for music videos, I became desensitized to going in front of a camera, seeing that red button, and oh my gosh, I'm about to record my audition. Like, I felt that less and less because I was so used to being in front of a camera and playing through stuff in my practice room, playing in front of my phone. So I noticed I was doing this for about a year. And then when I went to do a festival audition, it was significantly less stressful for me. And teachers often encourage you to record so you can also please your teachers. Audience members appreciate the little things we take for granted. We're so immersed in rehearsal and practicing culture, life at a conservatory, or stories from gigs. We're so immersed in that with our tight niche of classical players, we just assume it's interesting and cool and yeah, we know about it, whatever. But the average person who might not know you practice 4+ hours a day, people go bonkers when they hear how much we practice. So don't take those fun little tidbits for granted. Something that is a part of your everyday life is a novelty for someone else. So here's something else related to content that I really, if there's one thing for you to take away from this talk today, this is it. This is it. So there are thousands of musicians out there, thousands and thousands, many of which play your very instrument. So what will you do that nobody else can? What can you combine? So what is something that is already a part of your art or your aesthetic or your artistic interests that you can combine with your music? You know, I really started thinking a lot about this when I was planning music video projects because I have a recording. One of my recitals, I played Dvorak concerto. And I don't want this to come off as me belittling myself because I am not. It was a very important recital for me and I was very proud of it. But there's also Yo-Yo Ma's recording of Dvorak. There's Jacqueline Dupre's recording of Dvorak. You know? So what can I do that no one else has done before? So that's what I started thinking about, what can be unique. And there's nothing to say that you shouldn't publish recordings of Dvorak. Do it. Your followers and your subscribers will absolutely love it. But in order to figure out your unique brand and image, you have to go outside of the box a little bit. So in addition to loving Dvorak concerto and all other classical rep, I am a cellist. I am also a composer and arranger. I have become a musical storyteller with my narrative music videos. And I also have a gothic flair and aesthetic, gothic flair. Black. I love wearing black. So all of these things combined, that's the TheCelloDoll recipe. So in a way, you can create your own recipe for yourself. So in a way, if you take the Dvorak concerto example, what if I was some sort of Gothic Nordic Viking, you know, on a quest through the mountainside, and in the background it's me playing Dvorak concerto on my quest. You know, that's a unique way of presenting Dvorak concerto. So I hope this really gives you guys some ideas. So success does not equal spending money. This is a huge myth I want to address. Success does not equal spending money. You do not have to spend money to have a successful Instagram profile. I did not, money related directly to my socials, that was not on my mind for at least 2 years. And on my Instagram, I surpassed 12,000 followers in 1 year without spending a dime. Do you need photos taken by a pro? No, you do not. Find a neutral wall, your favorite outfit, and put your lighting behind the camera. Here's an example of an excellent free photo editor. It's called GIMP, You can Google it. It's free to download, and it's very similar to Photoshop. So this photo here, I believe I did this myself last spring, 2020, early 2020 maybe. I don't remember the exact date. This is my kitchen when I lived in Brooklyn. This is my kitchen. And my phone was on the kitchen table, and I just kind of vogued in front of this wall for a little bit. And to save time, here's a little tip. I actually put it on video. And so I can try out different poses. I put selfie on video mode. I can try out different poses, see what I like, and then I go through the video and take screenshots. And that's what this was. This was a screenshot. So that's a way to save some time, because putting on the timer, running over, putting on the timer, running over, it gets very cumbersome. So you can do a video with screenshots. Do you need pricey video editing software? No, here are some free apps, even for posts. Even on Instagram, I use InShot Pro. And if you've never used a video editor before and you want to try VSDC, it's a free video editor, and it's really good for the interface. It gets you used to what other video editing software will look like. So I will say the free version does not have a whole bunch of fancy bells and whistles, but it is an excellent start to get used to what a video editor looks like on your computer. Because let's be honest, being a musician is expensive enough, everybody. We don't want to spend more and more money to market ourselves. You know, that takes a long time. So all these different ways you can save money. So if you are in school at a conservatory, schools are your resource. Oh my gosh, I still wish I was in school because I lost so many resources when I graduated. If your college has a music department, most of us are interested in conservatories or in a conservatory. Colleagues, your students, collabs equals content. Let's say you're doing your chamber music program and you're playing a Shostakovich quartet or the Grieg string quartet, something with a lot of fire in it, and you go, this would be an awesome post. You know, ask all of your quartet members first. You should always have consent before you record and post someone online. It's just common courtesy. If you have all your chamber group members' permissions, record some of your rehearsals. Maybe you guys have a funny, candid moment, put it on Instagram. It's great. People will love it. Many opportunities for content. A lot of music schools also have a computer lab where you can get really good audio editing software for free through your conservatory. If your college has a theater department, this is what I miss so much. Rentals for professional quality video equipment. I was able to rent so many expensive cameras and use them, and now I don't have them anymore. So that was huge. This is a big thing for music theater department because you have a lot of film majors. And a theater department, maybe you can rent out a black box for a photo or video shoot, a DIY video shoot. I did a music video in a black box once, and it was really nice. And then like the audio editing, there's usually video editing software. And then if you have elective credits, free credits, you could take a class on marketing or advertising, business management, video or audio editing, photography or cinematography. If I was going back through school, I would have done this. I so would have done this because everything you saw in the very first slide is all self-taught. So of course, minus the cello playing. I had beloved teachers that helped me with the cello playing and composition teachers. But I mean, the idea of putting together a visual piece of content, that's all been self-taught. Onward. So your first steps, you're like, TheCelloDoll, I am convinced. I want to be on social media. Help me get started. I will gladly help you get started. Choosing your name. This is such a huge complication. It's so difficult to pick your name. So make your name simple and memorable. Memorable. There we go. So I have a story scenario for you, and this has actually happened to me quite a few times, especially when I was living in New York. You go to a party or a friend's recital reception, and you're all talking about what you do. And again, that's a huge opportunity to advocate for your brand. So I often tell people what I do, where I go to school, and then I tell them I create music videos online with my cello. And they go, that's so cool. Can I look up any of your stuff? And I go, all right, so you can find me on Instagram under Carolyn. That's L-Y-N, not line, okay? So L-Y-N _ Regula. So that's R-E-G-U-L-A, Regula, and then _21. So did you get all of that? In one ear, out the other. Nope. You need a name that is concise and easy to remember. So I tell people, TheCelloDoll, one word, boom. They usually find me on their phone within the course of our conversation. So through your name on social media, people should instantly know your craft. So I would recommend including your instrument or the word music in it at least. Usually having just your name, like someone like Beyonce or Lady Gaga, they're already super famous. Everyone knows what they do. But if I was just Carolyn Regula, okay, I have no idea what she does. I just know what her name is. So I would really avoid symbols, or at most use the dot or one underscore, but I would avoid mixing them up. It just makes your name easier to say and remember. Before you make your first profile, check that your name is available across all the platforms you're considering. It would be really awkward if there was a name you were in love with, you got it on Instagram, but someone has it on YouTube. You're kind of stuck. You can change your name, but it's just like, it's another extra step, and I'm not quite sure how easy it is to change your name on all the platforms. So if you must change it, make sure it isn't too different. For example, you could add music to your username. So if there was a TheCelloDoll already on YouTube, I could be TheCelloDoll Music, and it's still pretty cohesive. Knowledge is power. Research algorithms before you launch. This saved me, and this was one of the reasons I felt like I was successful in my first year. I call TheCelloDoll my happy accident, because my friends around me were saying, Carolyn, do you know your numbers? And I was like, yeah, are they good? Like, I was so ignorant at what a successful profile was looking like. But because I got such a big growth so fast, I really think it's because I researched the algorithm. I spent about an hour per day for a whole week before I did TheCelloDoll. I researched the algorithm. So places you can find great knowledge, YouTube videos and blogs, not just from marketing experts, but also from real life influencers. The more you dig, the more golden nuggets of knowledge you're gonna find. So really important to do your research. And it's not that, these social media platforms, their algorithm isn't super public knowledge. They really, that's kind of their recipe, their secret recipe. But a lot of people have theories through experience, and a lot of people blog about these experiences or write articles about these experiences. And I learned some of my top mini secrets from doing this research. So the next step in researching, look at who you follow. Who are your favorite people on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook? What do you like and not like about their pages? That's really important, is to also see what you don't like, because it can you can start building a template in your mind. Who do your idols follow? Who do your inspirations follow? That's also very important, because someone might say, oh, TheCelloDoll, I wonder who she likes to listen to, or people can learn about you through who you follow. Now, this is a big one. What is their following to follower ratio? This is Instagram. Most people who are considered influencers, 10 to 20%. So What I mean by this, let's say you have 10,000 followers, 10,000, but you're following 9,000 people. I can see why you got 10,000 followers so quickly. So, and I'm not saying you have to delete your friends or anything, but if you have a profile already and you have like 5,000 followers and you're following 4,000 of your friends and celebrities and brands, I would recommend just starting from scratch. Just start from scratch. That's what I did. And, I still have my personal Instagram and I see friends through that. And then I have my professional one where I'm very particular about who I follow. What do they put in their bios or about me sections? How do they plan their posts? How do they format their captions or hashtags? So you can learn so much by looking at who you enjoy to follow. So this is just a screenshot of my Instagram profile, the desktop view. So I currently have about 500 posts. I have almost 18,000 followers. And look at this, I'm following actually less than 10%. So right here, this, I hope, tells people, wow, she really makes compelling content because these many people are following her without expecting a follow in return. And that's a tricky strategy because that's not to say I'm so grateful for everyone who follows me, but you do have to think of this also as a business professional page. This is your brand. You really want your brand to stick out. So I put that I'm a cellist, a composer, and a teacher right here. So a really good tip I actually heard from someone, ask yourself the question, what can people hire me for? What can people hire me for? Put that in your bio. Easy. So I'm a cellist, I'm a composer, I'm a teacher. These are already 3 things you could hire me for. I'm also a musically gothic storyteller. So this is a little bit more of like a personal aesthetic component. How do they contact me? Send me a direct message for cello or composition lessons, collabs, and recordings. So here, another service. People know they can hire me for recordings. And then I have my bio link and people can click here. They can go to my YouTube and donate to my first album and more. So I'm enticing people to click on this bio link. So this took me a while actually to come up with because you don't get a lot of space in your Instagram bio. Also, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, people aren't going to take the time, sadly, to read these paragraphs upon paragraphs you've beautifully written. So this is a very concise way to do it. And then advocate for your brand. We talked about this already. Post on your personal accounts and send messages to friends and family. I did this. This is how I got my first 100 followers or so, 200 followers, was just telling, and you don't have to say, please follow me. No, just say, I'm taking a big step in my professional career. I'm starting an online profile. I would really appreciate your support in joining my profile. So in your first posts, be obvious. People should instantly know what you do by looking at your page. Make your content concise and focused. Otherwise, you can look like a personal page. And this was a mistake I made. I wasn't saturated in cello playing enough. So yes, you have to leak out your personality. As you gather a following, do include fun and personalized posts. People will love your art, but will also appreciate you and your unique personality. So, but from the get-go, if you are brand new to Instagram and people come on your page and they see pictures of your cat and pictures of your friends and a couple pictures of your cello, maybe one playing video, well, what's going on? Are you a college student just vlogging your life? Are you a cellist? So you got to really make it obvious, especially for when you're early on, because you don't have many posts for people to scroll through. And then lastly, the 4Cs, the TheCelloDoll's 4Cs, consistency. So for the first 6 months, I posted 1 to 2 times a day. The first 2 years, I posted once a day, and now I post about 5 times a week. The most manageable workflow is the most enjoyable workflow. You don't want to overexert yourself. If you can't post twice a day, if that's way too much, then do it once a day or start 5 times a week. Another big tip that I didn't do, I didn't have a backlog of content. So have a pool of content before you start. Build a community, reply to comments and thank people. Live streams, Q&A sessions, concerts. People want to have opportunities to talk with you and get to know you. Consciousness. You control the content. It does not control you. And that was very hard for me. I have to post. I have to post. No, you don't. If you take 1 day off, couple days off, a week off, your followers aren't going to disappear. So be conscious of that. Being yourself will come off as the most effortless. And that is so true. We all know the saying, Instagram versus reality. Just post your reality. Just post your reality. And then creativity. Again, you each have something unique that nobody else can offer. So thank you guys all so much for letting me indulge you with my social media story. And I did say advocating for your brand was important. So if you guys want to check me out, I am TheCelloDoll, again on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I actively post almost every day and have some really exciting projects planned for the fall. And if you guys have any questions, or if there's something here I didn't cover, or you're really stuck on something, you can email me, TheCelloDoll@gmail.com. So I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to come back. Hello, everyone. And I would love to answer some of your questions. So I will start. So as I'm going into these questions, fill up the Q&A or the chat with anything you'd like. So I'm going to start with Grace. Hello, Grace. Hello. I am very interested in creating a social media presence, but I feel I am too young of an amateur to start that right now. Do you have any advice on that? Of course, I did. I'll just summarize some of the things I said because, Grace, I was the biggest social media novice. I just used Instagram because I like the filters. I just like the filters. I was hanging out with friends, or I went to a park. Ooh, I want to take a picture on my Instagram. It has pretty filters, and that's all it was. I didn't know much about Instagram. So doing the research really helps. Do the research and really educate yourself on the algorithm and how is a post promoted. Once it goes out into the platform, what does the platform do with that post? How does that post work? That's kind of what algorithm means. Once I put something up, what happens to it? Okay, so I would really research the algorithm. And this is a big thing. Don't try to go on every single platform. You're going to get so overwhelmed. So I would recommend starting on 1 to 2 platforms and then eventually managing 3, because you can reuse your content. Like I said, I have a music video. I take chunks of that music video and put them on my Instagram. So you can recycle, reuse, whatever you want to call it. But it is a lot. It's a lot to manage. So we talked about that, researching, making some content, do some hair and makeup and do a DIY photo shoot, get some content, try out some things, get a pool of like maybe 1 or 2 weeks worth and just put it out there. And the big thing about the name, having a concise and simple name is huge, because that name is going to be your brand. Next question from Vladimir. Hi, Carolyn. Hello, Vladimir. Greetings from Buenos Aires. Greetings. I want to start a project of 100 days of practice, and I would like to go out to play in the street or outdoors. I love that. So actually 100 days of practice is a trending Instagram hashtag. I think it might have been Hillary Hahn who started that. I don't quite remember. I think it might have been Hillary Hahn. She started that hashtag and it started trending 100 days of practice. So you said you might want to go practicing indoors and outdoors. I think that's amazing. It could be really fun if you did a different day and a different location. That might be a lot though. You could do maybe a different week in a different location, or every 10 days you change where you practice. That could be really cool and really fun. And I know we didn't get into the nitty-gritty about hashtags, but hashtags are a way of categorizing your posts, essentially. It's kind of like a filing cabinet where if I have a picture of myself with my cello, I'll put hashtag cello, hashtag classical musician, and it gets put into all those categories. So what I would recommend for you, Vladimir, is look up the hashtag 100 days of practice. And you will see if I'm assuming this is on Instagram, and if you search that hashtag or click on that hashtag, you'll see all the other posts that have used that hashtag. So I would recommend you look at those posts and find sister hashtags. You're going to start seeing trends of what other hashtags fit with 100 days of practice. So I didn't go into it, again, no deep dives on the hashtags because I'll be here another hour. It's already been an hour and a half. So I hope that helps. I think that's a great idea. And the 100 days of practice is something that has been done, but it is familiar and endearing. So what can you do to make it slightly different? Yeah, like I said, you could do the 100 days in different locations. You could change the repertoire. You could do 100 days of practice, but you hide your favorite little paperweight of a turtle and you hide it in every part of the frame, and each day you gotta find where the turtle is. I don't know, but you can really get creative with that. So I see we have a new question. Oh, you're most welcome, Vladimir. You're most welcome. Alana, hello. I'm starting branding on social media. Which app do you think would gain a person the most traction? An excellent question. So it does depend on what type of content you want to do. So go back to my reference on the sitting app versus the scrolling app. So the scrolling apps, again, are Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. YouTube is more for like narratives, tutorials, day in the life, follow a cellist, a day in the life of a cellist. That's YouTube. So if you're just starting on branding, I would recommend something like Instagram, where the content is shorter, again, 60 seconds or less. If you're interested in, when you say branding, I'm not quite sure if you're interested in videos or photos. I always assume videos for artists because we can perform and play excerpts and things like that. So I would say something like Instagram, where the content is short, is a great way to get your feet wet and is a great way to try out ideas. And also, this is a huge thing. Don't be afraid to delete stuff, okay? Like, I worried so much about deleting posts. Oh, it's gonna look like I'm not standing by my brand. No, you learn what works and what doesn't work. So I often go through and I look and I say, okay, my followers, they liked it, but they weren't like super ecstatic about this excerpt. Delete it. Or I listen again. I don't like the lighting in that video anymore. Delete. So something like Instagram, once you get a pretty solid grid, like maybe 100 posts, I would recommend once you get to 100 posts, go back and see how your content has grown, what's worked, what doesn't work, and then you can delete your content and make it more concise. Again, your profiles are your portfolio. So you want it to show the best of the best. So do not be afraid to go back and delete what might not work. So the getting your feet wet, something that is short and concise like Instagram is great. And also, it is so much easier to get found on Instagram than something like YouTube, in my experience. I think it's much easier. So I would really recommend Instagram, at least Instagram as being one of your starting apps. All right. So thank you all so much. I don't see any more questions in the chat. I'm going to look at the YouTube chat. I don't see any questions in the YouTube chat. So if any of you joined late and you want to see the opening, maybe you had to join halfway through, this talk is being recorded and streamed live in real time on YouTube. So there's the link. And one more time, my social media on IG, Facebook, it's in Facebook and YouTube. There we go. And yeah, I was very lucky in that I could be TheCelloDoll on all three of those platforms. That name wasn't taken. So I was very lucky. It's all the same name, TheCelloDoll. And thank you all so much. This was really fun for me. Thank you all for letting me share my story. You know, TheCelloDoll, it's so funny. It's not an alter ego for me. Some people do that on their socials, which is fun. You can pretend to be someone else, but I know I just said you should being yourself is the easiest, but it can also be a chance for you to have a persona, but don't have it be a distorted version of yourself, if that makes sense. You know, I feel like on social media, you know, I'm a gothic, quirky, nerdy cellist, and that's who I am in real life. It's just on TheCelloDoll, it's me super saturated all the time. It's a version of me. It's just a very big version of me. But what if I wanted to be this like creepy cello player that only comes out at night and I only post playing in the dark and these really avant-garde photos? Now we're getting into a character and a persona. You can go that other way if you'd like, because I do know some people who do that for fun, and it does make for very compelling storytelling. So again, I just really hope this talk gives you guys some inspiring ideas. And the point of me saying that was TheCelloDoll was also a gateway for me to learn more about myself as an artist, and that was something very amazing. I was not expecting that. I learned so much about myself, what I valued, what I was passionate about. And it is all because I took that deep dive. I decided to trust myself, and I decided to put myself out online. It is a difficult choice because you are putting yourself out there for so many people to see you. And it can be scary sometimes, it can be intimidating, but I have learned so much about myself and so much more about my art and so many more skills. So thank you all so much for listening and allowing me to share my story with you. Again, TheCelloDoll@gmail.com if you have any questions. And for the rest of the day, this is our last festival event. So I'm the closing event for today. But tomorrow, we do have a Moonlight Sonata concert. So that is also on the Close Encounters with Music YouTube channel. So remember what I said about that opera piece with Carrie and Annie Brooks. That is going to be, the full version is going to be on that concert. So if you want to know what happens, that's the place to be. And I believe that is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Please pardon me while I check. Yes, that is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow evening. All right, thank you all so much, and we will see you again for a future talk and class. Have a beautiful night, everyone, and happy Friday! We are almost in the weekend. We'll see you.